Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Just pop into the chat and let us know where you're joining us from and what agency. We always love to see where everyone is from. Um, we will be getting started in a minute. We're just going to allow a little bit of time for everyone to sort of get into the room. All right, so my name is Rachel Luci, and I'm the manager for the Agent Network at RMIT. For today's session, we are being joined by Dr. Roger Kemp. He's the Associate Dean of Interior Design and the Program Manager of the Master of Interior Design, and he'll be giving you an overview of the programs available to your students. Before we start, I'm just going to run through some housekeeping. We'll have time for questions at the end of the presentation. So any questions, just pop into that chat box and we'll try and address as many questions as possible. If we can't answer them or if we run out of time, we'll get back to you offline. You can download today's presentation. If you just click on the cloud icon, you should see at the top of your screen. And we are recording today's session and it will be available on the agent portal for you. I'm going to hand over to Roger now to take it away. Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Rachel. Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to some of you in various parts of the world. Thanks for joining us today. I'd like to start by respectfully acknowledging the people of the Woiwurrung and Bunurong language groups of the Kulin Nation as traditional custodians on whose unceded lands we teach, learn and research and practice. We extend our deepest respect to all First Nations people across the country and recognise their rich history and creative practices and their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Welcome everyone. So I'm going to talk about two programs that we run in the School of Architecture and Urban Design, the Bachelor of Interior Design Honours and the Master of Interior Design. We also have within the School of Architecture and Urban Design the Architecture discipline and the Landscape Architecture discipline. We also run a higher degrees research section, which includes PhD candidates and Masters by Research candidates, but more so PhD candidates. Our PhD candidates are positioned as practice-based researchers in the main, and we operate a postgraduate research symposium 2 times in Melbourne each year, 2 times in Asia and 2 times in Europe. But I'm going to focus on the Bachelor and Master's programs today. So as a discipline that contains both of those programs, we understand interior design to be an expansive practice that addresses the relationship between people and their environments and how we live, work and play. We're a global leader in interior design education and research, and we position interior design as a critical practice that contributes to and transforms social, cultural, technological and environmental conditions in the 21st century, particularly in relation to urban environments where we spend most of our dedication of teaching and research towards. Overall, we're industry partnered and project based in our focus, and student-centred learning is our approach. We operate around projects, so we speak about design studios that are industry partnered and project based and led by industry practitioners, supported by full-time staff. The contribution of local and international practitioners from a wide spectrum of disciplines, as well as ongoing participation in local and global networks, ensures a critically engaged practice that is vital to the culture of our programs. The interior design discipline promotes the principles of student-centred learning with a focus on students choosing their own path and progression through their program. So with the Bachelor of Interior Design, it's a 4-year embedded honours program. Those 4 years are critical in developing the base level of kind of qualification, but our honours that is embedded ensures that there's a 4-year degree, and that pushes through into the Master's program as well to complete a 5-year overall Master's. So our 4 years If students want to move between the bachelor and the master's program, they will get a year's exemption into the master's, which completes the master's degree within 5 years, which is consistent with the architecture discipline and the landscape architecture discipline. Over those 4 years, students are engaged in what we focus on as design studios, which are effectively a simulation of design practice. So we put students in a position where they're taking on contemporary kind of design problems within the context of a design studio. In the final year of our bachelor program, students undertake a research-led project proposal in first semester, which then leads to a research major project in second semester. There are a number of streams that operate through the program. One is history theory, and you can see, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but there's history theory courses that run through the program. There's a series of technology courses, such as structures, services, and systems. A stream of communications, such as digital physical processes. And then there's a series of kind of specializations towards the end of the program. So in year 3 and in year 4, and then there's a professional practice component. We treat, because we're situated in the central business district of Melbourne, we really treat Melbourne as a little bit of an urban laboratory. So we allow students and engage students within the kind of urban environment. So this image on the left-hand side, the top left-hand side, is a tutorial that's happening in one of the laneways in Melbourne. And so taking students out into the urban environment and talking about the various kind of conditions or situations, whether it be in a commercial context, in a social context, or in a broader urban-based project. The top right image is of our Design Hub workshop. So the Design Hub is the building that we operate in with architecture and landscape architecture. And so we have strong facilities there with digital fabrication processes and that sort of stuff in that workshop. Just beside the workshop and in the bottom left-hand side image is an image of the gallery space in the Design Hub. So there's a double height gallery space that we utilise to exhibit the work of students, but that is also hired out to the general public for public exhibition. And then in the bottom right image is a project by one of our alumni called Testing Grounds, and that is situated next to the National Gallery Victoria, and we utilise that space as well quite a lot with particularly our first year cohort, where we experiment with one-to-one. So the Bachelor of Interior Design is focused around conditions of interior and concepts of interiority, and increasingly affected and transformed by social and cultural forces and relationships. So we don't only see the idea of interior space being something that's defined by an enclosure, but it's about relationships and connectivity. So in a very built up urban environment, we can understand that those interiors exist in between streets, in between shops, in between public spaces. And so the idea of interior and interior design has broadened over the years to include more broadly kind of public spaces in many ways, particularly in those urban contexts. Our first year is very much dedicated to bringing students into a way of thinking about design, and the courses work across design, communications, technology, and history theory. And students are really challenged to constantly expand their theoretical and project-based vocabulary in order to develop a way of thinking about interior and interior concepts. And that comes through various project-focused discussions, readings, lectures, exhibitions, presentations, and so forth, and a lot of events. And we really, really focus on that side of bringing the students in and giving them a strong belonging experience within first year that ties them together as a really strong cohort that takes them all the way through the 4 years. In second and third year, a little bit different to first year where we operate as a big cohort. In second and third year, we break down into smaller units, smaller groups in what we call design studios. And each design studio has a different topic and generally has a kind of an embedded research agenda or question that is being driven through the design studio project. So it's not simply just a task to design a shop or a retail space or an office. We also try to engender those projects with a contemporary question, whether it be about changes in financial challenges, or whether it's to do with sort of social challenges, or whether it's to do with operational challenges, or indeed environmental challenges like sustainability and those very pressing issues around environment. Alongside the design studios in second and third year and those independent studios, students get to ballot for the courses that they take. And so at the start of the semester, all the academics get together and present what they're teaching in the following semester. And the students get to ballot and choose what they want to do. And the idea is that they effectively pick and choose the things that they want to do across the program, which enables them to really define their own path and start to consider their own career path really right from second year all the way through to fourth year. So when they get to the final project in fourth year, they've developed some specific skills around their interests. And so a student might, for instance, be really interested in going into retail design when they finish in the program, so that they might take a series of kind of courses that relate to that. We also ensure that they've got some level of breadth in their choices, so that they're not too closed in their sort of thinking as they move through. We do that through a series of streams like technical studies and communications, and so getting them to sort of think through various techniques and technologies. History theory and specializations are another stream that runs through, as I mentioned in the structure earlier. And history theory is really introducing students into more broadly the kind of historical context of the development of interior design as a discipline, but also in terms of some of the kind of theoretical underpinning that sits beside interior design as a larger practice. Students are very much given a lot of strong support in developing techniques in research, and that leads to their honours year where they're expected to come up with their own major project, develop a design brief, and develop the kind of questions and concerns that they want to take on through that design brief. Specializations happen later in the program and are really focused around specialist areas of knowledge. So a student might choose a specialization, for instance, in lighting design or exhibition design or film and television design or theatre design. And those things are really kind of professionally focused in allowing students to really gain a specific area of expertise and interest that they can take out when they pull together their portfolio at the end of the program. Final year, fourth year is an honours year, although it's embedded in the kind of 4-year structure. But what's important about the final year is it's where the students get to be really self-directed. And as you would know, designers need to be fairly entrepreneurial in the way that they go about building their career. So as much as you might work for large organisations, architectural practices or interior design practices, it's important that many students go and develop their own practice. So the final year of our bachelor program is very much self-directed and really begins with the students developing a first semester a body of research through experimentation, through drawings, through model making, through considerations of various readings, those sorts of things that pull together or come together to form a kind of a series of research questions that then form into a final project that they present at the end of the year. Those final projects are presented to a panel of academics and industry practitioners who provide feedback and discussion about their work. And that's really a touch point for students engaging again with industry professionals, where industry professionals are coming into the academy to really engage with what the students are doing right now, but also starting to see various students that might be suitable to them in future employees. The Index Graduate Exhibition has been an exhibition that's been going on for many years, and it's the graduate show, and it is a pretty big investment of time and effort, but it's a very important celebration to the final year students in the celebrating the 4 years of their undergraduate degree. And so we usually find a location in Melbourne. Over the past 2 years, it's been a little bit complex because of lockdown, but we've managed to circumnavigate that by using virtual kind of platforms to exhibit through. But in the past, we've found spaces and reformed those spaces in order to build an exhibition. And really part of that exercise is getting students to be on the ground, building a space, literally, doing all of the fundraising, doing all of the exhibition catalogue work, all the graphic design, all of those things, or at least commissioning other services to come in and support them to do that. And it's a way of, we see it as both a professional practice exercise, dealing with potentially electricians and plumbers and graphic designers and so forth, to put this exhibition together, dealing with social networks, etc., to bring that together, and it's obviously also the celebratory event. We have a placement and industry partner project-based learning approach, but our placements we run in third and fourth year. And what we've done is we've partnered up with a series of kind of practices, Hassel Studio, both local and international practice. Billard Lease operate both here in Melbourne and Sydney, Foolscap Sibling Design Office, as well as large organisations like the National Gallery of Victoria. And what we do is we organise for students to participate in a placement for one semester, and it's usually 2 days a week over around about a 6-week period, where students really just connect in with one of these organisations and are embedded in that space for the period of 6 weeks. This is a competitive process, so we ask the students to submit a portfolio, and then through that process we are able to put them through an interview process with that organisation, and then obviously some students get accepted, some don't. When they don't get accepted, they come back to us and we review their portfolio and they can apply again. Other global opportunities, and obviously this has been restricted over the last 2 years, but we really feel that it's important for our students to have a world view. So we take students away on travel studios, so where we'll go to anywhere that we feel is sort of where we'd like to go. But in the past, most recently, probably 2 years ago, this image is from a travel studio to Hong Kong, and so we took a group of students over there and connected up with two large architectural practices, Hassell and Woods Bagot. And we spent a couple of days in both of those organisations, and then also did some projects around the city in Hong Kong. We also have an exchange agreement with a number of universities around the world. So if you want a little bit more detail on that, I'm happy to give you that at the end. I just flicked through a slide there, and I'll come back to this at the end, just in terms of the selection requirement, but when I do both programs. So I'll move into the Master of Interior Design, and the Master of Interior Design is a 2-year program. It is a program that provides an industry-partnered project-based learning experience that critically examines the social, cultural, technological, and environmental issues and challenges associated with the production of interior environments. That was a long-winded statement, but I think that the Masters was developed in 2020, and so this is its third year. We commenced with 10 students. Last year we had 20 students in the program. This year we're up to 37 students in the program. So it's starting to gain some recognition globally, and we're getting strong interest, particularly coming into next semester. And now that we've got some reduction in sort of COVID numbers and those sorts of things, that is operating very well, and we are obviously operating across online and face-to-face. The focus is a little bit different in the Masters program from the undergraduate program, in that it is very much focused around partnered industry professional context. And the key things that it's working with are ideas of enterprise, collaboration and partnership, critical thinking, research-led design, communication, and also this idea of the Asian, Australasian kind of context. So we're thinking very much about the region and the cities within the region. And given the complexities of COVID, we haven't been able to travel, but our intention was certainly to travel to various parts of the region in and around some of the activities that we work with. And obviously we'll sort of come back to that when that's more accessible. The program structure, there's 2 years. We have partnered interior design studios that run all the way through the program. The work is all group work. So the idea is that we're getting students into a kind of a professional work process where we're asking students to think how they can collaborate and work together in teams, and that's a really important adjustment that students can make moving into full-time work. The other courses that run through the semester are the structure and interior design practices, and that is a fairly open name, but what it does is encompasses a number of different things across communications and technology. We have a number of staff that work across digital environments as well, so students are working into both physical spaces and also the virtual, augmented reality and virtual environments. Students also have the opportunity to do a series of university electives that are in other parts of the university. So we basically take students out of our context and put them into other parts of the university, such as engineering, such as fine art, such as business, and students get to select these university electives. And so you might find that a student moves through the program, takes all of the design studios, but develops a sort of a minor, if you like, in a particular area of study, which might be to do with, say, business skills, so developing enterprise, or it might be around notions of sustainability, or it might be another aspect that they're wanting to support their particular interests in design, so they can have a kind of a unique portfolio when they leave. So the partnered industry projects, what we do each semester is we identify a partner to work with, and often that's a client partner or a industry partner as a design practice. By bringing these together, it might be a two-way or a three-way partnership. What we're looking for is a contemporary project. So we'll go to a company like Bait Smart or Hassel, who are local design practices, and we'll say what is particularly important, and we develop a collaborative brief with that industry partner so that what we're developing within this is contemporary and can also benefit the partner in them thinking differently about some of the things that they're working with in many of their projects. We cycle through different types of projects across civic projects, institutional projects, commercial projects, and social projects. And that gives the students this diversity of experience across different types of design areas. So to give you some examples, in the semester 1 of 2020, we looked at the idea of the future of co-working. And this was particularly timely because we had one day face-to-face and then we went online. But what was interesting about this is that it was totally pertinent to the idea of co-working. So many people in Melbourne, a lot of the businesses, a lot of the organisations were moving away from the CBD, and people were working from home, but really needed this opportunity to find a smaller working environment outside the home that was connected or networked back to the larger organisation. So looking at co-working spaces within a suburban context was pretty much the brief for this particular studio. The following semester, we looked at the future of retail. And obviously, because of the reduction in retail sales, particularly shopping centres and tenancies within shopping environments, retail environments, we looked at the way in which larger shopping centres could shift and move following the kind of COVID pandemic. So understanding that we might do retail differently and also think about what other sorts of civic investment we might bring to the suburban shopping centre. In first semester last year, we looked at a concept called urban interiority, where we looked at those sort of relationships within the city. And really, because Melbourne was vacated by so many workers and people, we were looking at how we could reinvigorate the spaces of Melbourne following that those vacancies. Last semester, we also ran a project that was to do with educational spaces. So you can see that we're moving through the different sort of contexts so that students are getting different experiences in different areas of design within interior design. So an interior practice, as I mentioned, is another course within the program. And this is something that we have a number of staff that work into, and their expertise is on digital environments. And so what's sort of really important about here is that we're sort of teaching students cutting edge software and knowledge around notions of virtual space. And this we see as sort of something that will become ever present within an augmented environment, within office spaces and retail spaces, and so many other environments that we work in. The students, as I mentioned, the elective suite, students choose from in and around things like enterprise, people and data, social futures, humanitarian design thinking, and technology areas. So we're wanting these students to come out with some specialist knowledge in and around things like the virtual or things like enterprise, or understanding statistics and how data can influence the way in which we work. With selection for the Masters, we have a portfolio and a written statement, which are the kind of primary requirements. The portfolio really should demonstrate the candidate's abilities in design or creative practice. They should be coming from a previous degree. So, having those levels of skill should be consistent within this portfolio. But the broad thing is that those portfolios could contain a breadth of content. So some of the key expectations from us are that there's strong graphic skills within the portfolio, that there's a clarity in the organisation of the project work. There's demonstrated quality design thinking through a variety of strong projects, that there's well-written critical reflection in the annotations explaining the decisions. So simply a portfolio without any annotations is not going to be useful. We need to understand how the students, the applicants, are thinking about what they've done, that they've reflected on their work, on their design work, and understand what they were trying to do through the work. There should be a good level of complexity of projects, and interior design with a commercial emphasis interest rather than a domestic decoration in focus. We are very much concerned with the urban context and how interior design can play a part in the development of cities. So we're less concerned around the kind of the simply domestic environment. Certainly we're interested in the domestic environment relative to large-scale housing and those sorts of things, but less so about the individual kind of domestic decoration work. We're also interested in the use of contemporary design technology, so sort of coming into this program with a level of skill. In the written statement, just the expectations there are demonstrated understanding of the Master of Interior Design program, so that they've actually researched the program, they understand what it's about, they understand the features of it. There's plenty of information to draw from our website, from our Instagram, all of those sorts of things. That the written statement is well written and it's checked for grammar, all of those sorts of things. There's a clear statement of motivation. Why do they want to come and do this course? A clear statement of how this program will benefit the applicants. So really understanding why they're coming here and what they think they'll get out of it. And I've just put in the last point, just not a life history. So often I'll get from students applying, since I was 6-year-old, I've always wanted to do such and such. And really I understand that as a kind of a motivation, but at a master's level, really those applicants should be moving past that and starting to say, okay, how is a master's going to support my career trajectory? How is this master's, the investment of 2 years, going to support where I position myself within the industry? So having clarity around that is really important so that the students really understand what they're here to learn and how it's going to benefit them and how they can kind of practically use that. Just some of the career pathways, I'm nearly at the end. So just around civic, commercial, hospitality, institutional, retail, residential spaces, but also in and around event design, exhibition design, lighting design, furniture design, set and film, set design for film and TV, theatre production, etc. Here are some of our links. RMIT /interior. We also have the second website there, rmitinteriordesign.website, is a link to our catalogues from last year's final year exhibition. And then we've got our Instagram pages, the larger interior design one and the masters. So look, I'm happy to take any questions. I realised I didn't put the slide of the undergraduate requirements, but I can quickly talk through those in that they're similar to the masters, but obviously the expectations are less in terms of the level that they're coming into. But essentially it's a portfolio and also a written statement. But probably the similar things apply, just in terms of the applicant might have come from high school, they're applying for the bachelor program, they should put together a series of kind of images and work from their previous studies, but it also might be from, areas where they've done some photography while traveling, just anything that really gives us a sense of how they can think through different forms of design work. And then with the written statement, again, it's just really about a motivation statement. Why do they want to come to RMIT? And why do they want to study interior design? Where do you think that might take them? I'll leave it there, and I'll just see if there's kind of any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. If anyone does have any questions, just pop it into the chat at the moment. And while we have Roger here, we can ask him those. Just wait a couple of minutes and see what we've got. There are links to the program pages in the chat as well for both the Bachelor and the Master's. So you can also find out all the entry requirements and everything by looking through those, and fees and all of those things. But if you have any other sort of questions, just pop it in the chat now and we can run through that. Your presentation was very informative, Roger, so that you may have answered everything, but we'll just say I can see a couple of people typing. Just wait a minute. It's always that period where you have to wait for the questions to come through. It's
yeah, just with those selection requirements is use the RMIT links. They're the best. I think we put up another page, but how many students in Bachelor each semester? So thanks for that question. Generally, there's around about 120 students in the first year of the Bachelor program. However, we break that down into a number of tutorial groups. So it works out to be around about 20 students per staff member that we operate to. And so, but we do configure first year as a large group because we see it as a bit of a melting pot of all sorts of different people that have come together with different experiences, different backgrounds, but then when we get to second and third year, it breaks down to specific project groups that are again around the 1 to 20. Some of our other classes probably sit a little bit higher, around 1 to 22, 1 to 24 in the history theory area and technology areas. But generally we have about 120 to 130 students, and that is both local and international students together.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions at all? If there are any other questions after this, you can always reach out to the regional recruitment teams or my team, the agent management team, and we can assist you or find out the information for you. But if anyone has any questions, now is the time to pop it in.
So with the Masters, thanks for that question as well. So I think I mentioned before that the current, we started off with 10 students in 2020, and then we've moved up to 20 students in 2021, and now we're at 37 students, nearly 40 students. And so we tend to run this slightly differently because we operate in groups, but we run the one partnered studio for the semester, and that contains the 40 students in it. But we have 2 staff members that are contributing to that course. And that's the same with the other courses that are there too.
Great. I can see we've still got a couple of people typing in questions, so we'll wait another few minutes.
We anticipate that the Masters will again build next semester, so I anticipate that we'll probably be up to at least 50 by second semester and probably around the 60 to 80 mark next year, given the current number of applications that I'm getting. No problem.
I think we had one other question coming through. I did see someone else typing, but
Yeah.
you may have answered everything. Oh, there we go, Connie.
So if a student has failed the Diploma of Interior Design, any other alternative pathways that they can progress into the Bachelor? That is a difficult one. It might be that I'd be certainly happy to have a conversation with a student in that circumstance, just to offer some career support. It might be useful to just understand what is happening there and why they've failed the diploma. The diploma sits in the TAFE area, so it's slightly different to our program. We have a pathway from the TAFE area to us, so students get credit for some of the courses, coming across. But I think that might be a question that I'd be happy to take up a conversation with that student to offer some counselling around career support. Yes, happy to take that email.
Thanks.
No problem, Connie.
All right. If we don't have any other questions, we might end it there. I'm just waiting to see if there's anything else coming through.
Yeah.
But I think you've answered everything. As I said, if there are any questions you think of later, just reach out to your recruitment team or the agent management team, or as Roger said, directly. He's happy to take a few of those questions. And we can help. We're always happy to help. But thank you so much for your time today, everyone. We really appreciate you coming and joining us. And a special thanks to Roger for that presentation. It was really informative. And we look forward to seeing you again next time. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.